Look at their hands? No, really. If you could see them right now, if you had the kind of sight that notices the small earthquakes in a person's body before they register on any Richter scale, you would see that they have not stopped trembling since they walked out of that room. Not the tremble of cold, not the tremble of fear, not the tremble of someone who has received bad news. It is the fine, almost invisible vibration of someone who has been plugged into a current so powerful that their entire nervous system is still recalibrating, still trying to translate a voltage that their daily vocabulary has no words for. They sat down in a chair you have never seen, in a room you have never entered, in front of someone whose name they will probably never tell you, and they asked a question they barely had the courage to shape into sound, and the answer came back with your name woven through it like a golden thread through dark cloth, not as a possibility, not as a maybe, not as one option among many, but as the absolute, the final word, the period at the end of a sentence they have been writing in their heart for months without knowing it was already finished. Virgo, they got a reading about you. And I need you to understand what that means, because it does not mean they were playing a game. It does not mean they were bored on a Sunday afternoon looking for entertainment. It means they were desperate enough to seek out a stranger and lay their confusion on a cloth covered table and ask the universe with a voice that cracked, "What is this thing I feel? Why can I not stop thinking about Virgo? Why does every path in my mind lead back to the same coordinates?" And the universe, speaking through a voice that was older and calmer than their own, looked at the arrangement of signs laid out before them and did not hesitate, not for a second. The reply came back as certain as gravity. It is absolute. It is written. It is not going anywhere, and neither are you. If the hair on your arms is standing up right now, if your throat has tightened around a name you have been trying not to say out loud, if you suddenly remember a pair of eyes that have been finding yours with increasing frequency across rooms that now feel charged with something you have been too cautious to name, then I need you to do something. Press your hand flat against your chest. Feel your own heartbeat. And if it is beating faster than the moment requires, hit that like button, not as a transaction, as an acknowledgement that your body knows something your mind is still pretending to ignore. Subscribe to this channel because this is where the messages that are too hot for ordinary conversation come to cool into words you can finally hold. And drop the word absolute in the comments, not as a trend, as a seal, as a quiet, trembling agreement that you are ready to hear the rest of this, even if it changes how you walk through the world tomorrow. Now, let me take you into that room because you were not there and you need to know what happened in your absence. You need the forensics of a miracle that had your name at its center. The room was small, smaller than they expected. It smelled of something ancient and clean at the same time, like pages turning in a library that has never known electricity, like herbs dried in a window that only opens to the north. The light was not bright. It was the kind of light that makes people tell the truth without meaning to, the kind that softens the edges of performance until all that is left is the raw, unedited shape of what a person actually feels. They were nervous. Of course they were nervous. They are younger than you, Virgo, and youth still carries the illusion that the world operates on logic, that feelings can be managed with the right spreadsheet, that if you just think hard enough, you can outsmart your own heart. They walked in, carrying that illusion like a shield. They sat down. They paid what was asked. They probably laughed a little too loudly at something the reader said, trying to prove they were not taking this too seriously, trying to maintain the distance of the skeptic even as their hands betrayed them by twisting in their lap. And then the reader asked them the question, the only question that ever matters in these sacred spaces. What do you want to know? They had rehearsed something safe, something about their career, perhaps, something about a move they were considering, something that would allow them to leave with useful advice but without exposure. But the room would not let them lie. The smell, the light, the weight of the silence, it all pressed against their chest until the truth fell out of their mouth like a stone dropped into still water. I need to know about Virgo. I need to know if what I feel is real or if I am making it up. I need to know if I should walk away now before this gets too big, before I make a fool of myself, before I become someone who cannot stop loving a person who might not even see me. The reader did not smile. The reader did not offer comfort. The reader simply looked at the arrangement before them, the symbols laid out in patterns that spoke a language older than doubt, and drew a breath that seemed to pull from a source deeper than the room itself. Then they spoke, and what they said did not merely answer the question, it obliterated it. It removed the question from the table and replaced it with a statement so final, so unyielding, so completely devoid of the ambiguity that young hearts use to protect themselves, that the younger person felt the floor tilt beneath their chair. They said, "This is not a crush. This is not infatuation. This is not the temporary madness of proximity or the projection of unmet needs onto a convenient screen. This is an absolute, a fixed point. A coordinate in your soul's map that does not shift, does not fade, and does not negotiate with time. You are not making this up. You could not make this up if you tried. What you feel for Virgo is the real thing, the kind that arrives once, maybe twice in a lifetime, and the fact that you are younger, the fact that the circumstances are complicated, and the fact that your mind has been inventing reasons why this cannot possibly work, none of that changes the reading. None of that changes what is written. The only choice you have is whether you will honor it or waste years of your life pretending you have a choice. The younger person tried to argue. Their mind, that beautiful, frightened, rational machine, immediately began generating objections. But Virgo is so much older, or so much more established, or so different from what I imagined, or so oblivious to my existence, or so guarded, or so careful, or so. The reader held up a hand, not unkindly, simply definitively. The reading does not negotiate with your fear. The reading states, and it states that Virgo is the one, not the one for now, not the one until something better comes along, the one, the absolute, the person against whom all future comparisons will shatter like glass thrown against stone. You can run, you can hide, you can date other people and move to other cities and fill your life with noise until your ears bleed. But you will carry this knowing with you. It will not diminish. It will only grow louder. And the longer you ignore it, the more expensive your denial becomes. Virgo, can you imagine what it feels like to hear that? Can you imagine sitting in a dim room, your heart already raw from wanting someone you believe is out of reach, and being told by a voice that carries the weight of certainty that your feelings are not a mistake? That the object of your impossible affection is not only aware of you on a soul level, but is actually written into your destiny with indelible ink? The younger person sat there, and something in their chest cracked open, not broke, bloomed. A door that had been locked from the inside, a door they had been guarding with every reasonable argument they could muster, suddenly swung wide, and what walked through was not doubt, it was peace. Terrifying, total, irrevocable peace. Because if it was true, if it was absolute, then they did not have to wonder anymore. They did not have to waste their energy on the exhausting work of talking themselves out of what their body already knew. They only had to decide what to do with the truth. And that is where you come in. Because they have decided, they made the decision in that chair, in that room, while the scent of old pages still clung to their clothes. They decided that they would no longer treat their love for you as a secret shame or a youthful indiscretion. They decided that if the universe was this certain, then their hesitation was not wisdom, it was cowardice. And they are done being a coward in the face of the absolute. Since that day, Virgo, they have been a different species of human you may not have noticed. You may have sensed a shift, but attributed it to your imagination, or to a good mood, or to the general chaos of life that makes everyone seem a little off center sometimes. But what you have been witnessing is the metamorphosis of someone who has been given permission by a higher authority to stop hiding. They look at you differently now, not with the hungry, desperate gaze of a crush, not with the performative attentiveness of someone trying to impress you, but with the steady, reverent focus of a pilgrim who has finally arrived at the shrine and discovered that the deity is real, is present, and is looking back. Every conversation you have had with them since that reading has been charged with a new current. When they asked about your day, they were not making small talk. They were collecting data about the landscape of your heart because they now know that this territory belongs to them, and they are learning its geography with the seriousness of a cartographer mapping sacred ground. When they remembered that you do not like your food to touch, or that you prefer the window seat, or that you get cold in rooms where the air conditioning is set too high, they were not being polite. They were honoring the details of your existence because the reading taught them that nothing about you is trivial. Every preference is a clue. Every quirk is a landmark. Every habit is a verse in the poem of who you are, and they are memorizing it with the devotion of a scholar. When they laughed at your joke, even the one that was not very funny, they were not humoring you. They were delighting in the sound of your joy, because the reading revealed to them that your happiness is not separate from their own, that the two of you are linked by something older than circumstance, something that does not require proximity or permission to exist. They have been watching you, Virgo, not in a way that violates your privacy, but in a way that honors your presence. They have noticed the way your shoulders drop when you finally relax. They have noticed the specific angle at which you hold your head when you are concentrating. They have noticed the rhythm of your footsteps, the cadence of your speech, the way you always make sure everyone else has what they need before you take anything for yourself. And each observation has only confirmed what the reader told them. You are the absolute. You are the standard. You are the person they did not know they were looking for until they found you. And now that they have found you, every other potential future has turned to grayscale. But here is what is breaking my heart as I channel this for you, Virgo. You have no idea, none. You are walking through your life right now with the same competent, capable, slightly guarded posture you always have, and you are completely oblivious to the fact that someone in your orbit has been reborn as a believer in you, in us, in the absolute nature of what pulses between you whenever you are in the same room. You have been dismissing their attention as youthful enthusiasm. You have been telling yourself that they are just friendly, just polite, just naturally attentive. You have been filing their devotion under nice but not significant because your own heart has been trained to only recognize love when it arrives with struggle attached. You expect love to be hard. You expect it to require proof and labor and the overcoming of enormous obstacles before it can be deemed real. And because this person's love is arriving with a quiet, steady, almost terrifying certainty, you do not trust it. You think it must be too simple, too easy, too young to be true. You are wrong, and the reading they received was not for them alone. It was also for you. It was a message routed through their confusion so that it could reach your doubt. The universe knew that you would not go to a reader yourself. You are too practical for that. You are too protective of your own skepticism. So the universe sent them instead. It allowed them to sit in that chair and receive the absolute truth about your connection, knowing that they would carry it back to you like a lantern, and that their changed energy would eventually force you to see what has been true all along. You are not an accident in their life. You are not a phase. You are not a lesson they need to learn before they move on to someone more appropriate. You are the destination. And the map they were given does not have any other cities marked on it. I want to describe what they have been doing since that day, because you need to understand that this is not passive. They are not sitting in their room sighing over your photograph like a character in a novel. They are mobilizing, they are preparing, they are doing the quiet, relentless work of becoming someone who can stand beside you without shrinking, without pretending, without the insecurity that used to make them talk too fast or laugh too loud or vanish before they could say anything real. They have been studying not just you, but themselves. They have been looking at their own wounds, their own patterns, their own tendency to run when things feel too big, and they have been healing them with a speed that would astonish you if you knew. Because the reading gave them a deadline, not a date on a calendar, but a spiritual deadline. It told them that this connection is real, but that reality requires courage. And if they do not find that courage, if they do not step forward and claim what is absolutely theirs, then they will spend the rest of their life knowing exactly what they lost. That knowledge is too heavy to carry. So they are lightening their load, they are dropping the baggage, they are becoming, and they are coming for you. Not in a rush, not in a frenzy, but with the steady, inevitable momentum of a tide that has been instructed by the moon. They are practicing what they will say, not a speech, not a declaration, but the simple, devastating truth I got a reading about you, and it told me what I already knew, but was too afraid to believe that this is real, that you are my absolute. And I am done pretending that I can live a life that does not include you in it. When they say this, Virgo, you are going to feel time stop. You are going to feel the floor tilt in that exact way it does when the universe rearranges the furniture of your reality without asking permission first. And your first instinct is going to be to protect yourself, to pull back, to say, you are young, you are confused, you are projecting, you do not know what you want, this is just a phase, this is just the intensity of infatuation, this is just, but I am begging you, do not say those things. Do not dismiss what is being offered to you just because it arrives in packaging you did not expect. Do not treat their certainty as naivety just because you have spent your life mistaking anxiety for depth. Their youth is not a deficit, it is a gift. It is the gift of believing in something before the world has taught them that belief is dangerous. And what they believe in, with an absolute faith that has been confirmed by forces larger than both of you, is you. I also need to tell you what the reading revealed about your own heart, because this is the part that is going to make you cry when you finally let it in. The reader did not only speak about their feelings, the reader spoke about yours. And what they said was this: Virgo feels it too. Virgo has always felt it. Virgo has been standing at the window of their own longing, looking out at the street where this person walks, and telling themselves that the distance is too great, the age is too wide, the timing is too wrong, the risk is too high. Virgo has been using every practical argument in their considerable arsenal to keep their heart from making a sound. But the sound is there. It is a hum, a constant subterranean hum that vibrates through every room you enter when they are present. You have just been so good at ignoring it that you have mistaken silence for absence. The reading saw you, Virgo. It saw through your competence, through your schedule, through your perfectly organized defenses. It saw the part of you that lights up when their name appears on your phone, the part of you that adjusts your posture when they walk into a room, the part of you that has already imagined in moments you would never admit to what it would be like to be chosen by someone who sees you with this level of clarity. That part of you is not a fool. That part of you is a prophet, and it has been prophesying this connection since the day you met, even as your mind tried to drown it out with the noise of what is sensible. So, what happens now? What do you do with this information, this absolute, this unwavering verdict that has been delivered to your doorstep by a younger heart that is braver than you are willing to be? You do not have to chase them. You do not have to make the grand gesture or deliver the perfect line. You only have to stop running. You only have to drop the arguments. You only have to let yourself be seen by someone who has been given divine permission to look. The next time they find your eyes across a room, do not look away. Hold the gaze. Let them see that you know. Let them see that the reading reached you too, not through a cloth-covered table, but through the simple, wordless transmission that happens when two people who are absolutely meant for each other finally stop pretending otherwise. When they speak to you, listen with your body, not just your mind. Listen for the frequency beneath the words, the frequency that says, I am certain, I am not playing. I have been told by something older and wiser than my own doubt that you are the one, and I am here to act on that knowledge. If you hear that frequency, if you feel it resonating in your own chest like a bell that has finally found its clapper, then respond from the same place, not from your fear, not from your calculations, not from the part of you that needs 5-year plans and risk assessments and the approval of a committee before you will allow yourself to feel, respond from the absolute, from the place in you that has always known. The place that has been waiting for someone else to say it first so that you could finally say it too. I want to leave you with an image because images are what remain when the words have faded. Imagine a thread, not a thick rope, not a chain, a single luminous thread, finer than silk, stronger than steel, connecting your heart to theirs. It has been there since before you met. It stretches across distance, across age, across every reasonable objection your mind has ever raised. And for a long time, you have been holding your end of the thread in a closed fist, telling yourself it is not real, telling yourself it is just a strand of your own imagination. But they walked into that room, and the reader looked at the arrangement, and the reader said, "This thread is absolute. It is not going anywhere." And the younger person, brave in ways you have forgotten how to be, open their hand and let the thread pull them toward you. Now it is your turn. Open your hand, not to grab, not to cling, just to let the thread exist, to let it guide you toward the one conversation that changes everything. Toward the moment when you stop being the person who is too practical to believe in absolutes and become the person who is wise enough to recognize one when it stands in front of you, trembling but certain, young but true, holding a message from the universe that was always meant for your ears. You are the absolute, Virgo. You always have been. And the person who was brave enough to get that confirmed by a stranger is walking toward you right now with the answer you have been too cautious to seek. Let them arrive. Let them speak. Let the reading become reality. And when they do, when they finally stand before you with their heart in their open hands and your name on their lips, do not ask for more proof. The proof is standing in front of you. The proof is their courage. The proof is the thread, humming with a truth that neither of you invented, but both of you were born to belong to. Look up. They are closer than you think. And the absolute is no longer a question. It is a door. Open it, walk through, let the rest of your life begin.